If Lowry takes his talents to South Beach, Perk, we'll start with you on this one. Will the Heat be a threat in the East?
Yeah, absolutely. You talking about adding Kyle Lowry, a guy who's one of the best floor generals in the game today, the ultimate leader, a guy that doesn't rely on his athleticism to get it done, one of the ultimate competitors. And you put him in that Miami Heat culture, along with one of the best coaches in the game today in Eric Spoelstra, with Jimmy Butler and Bam. And I'm not going to say his last name because I don't feel like he and Christine and Domonique laughed today. But I'm going to give y'all a laugh. Bam out of the bayou, okay?
Nailed
you put
it.
him in there with Bam and that Heat culture. He fits. It's a perfect marriage, okay? Kyle Lowry is a guy that is not going to let up. He's a guy that's going to keep coming. That's what Jimmy Butler is accustomed to. That's what Eric Spoelstra and his Heat culture loves and they embrace. If the Miami Heat could get Kyle Lowry, of course there'll be a threat in the Eastern Conference. Now, would I pick him? Probably not, but there'd definitely be a threat.
I guess you and I can define threats differently because unless something is going to happen to the Nets or something is going to happen to the Bucks, and frankly, I feel like the 76ers are the same place. Like, they don't become a threat like that. They're going to make the playoffs again. They might win a round, maybe, but they're not going to be in the finals, in the conference finals. They're not a real threat adding Kyle Lowry. Like, I understand Spo's a great coach, and Duncan Robinson, maybe Tyler Hero will return to what we saw the player he was in the bubble, and Bam Adebayo. You're right. He's an outstanding player. But let's look around that conference. They are not a real threat adding Kyle Lowry, and I appreciate what you said about him never having relied on his athleticism. So maybe aging, the fact that he's 35 doesn't matter as much, and maybe he can go down there to Heat culture. He already, frankly, embodies the Heat culture. So I think all of that makes sense. They become a better team. He fits down there. That's all great, but they don't become better than the Bucks. They don't become better than the Nets. So unless we're going to have a catastrophic year like we had this year with injuries or something, they are not coming out of there where people are healthy, and if everybody's healthy and at top strength, they're not getting past either of those two teams.
Domonique, we do realize that this Miami Heat team went to the finals last year, right?
Yeah,
2 years ago.
I remember.
They represented the Eastern Conference. Okay, and so no disrespect to Goran Dragic and no disrespect to Kendrick Nunn, but Kyle Lowry is a serious upgrade from those two players. And one of the most important positions in the NBA is the point guard position. Who's going to be the leader to be the floor general? It's so many times that we have watched Jimmy Butler and Bam have to run the point forward, or Jimmy Butler have to slide to the point where he have to orchestrate the offense instead of worry about getting buckets. That wears him down. Now you add Kyle Lowry, a guy where Eric Spoelstra don't have to call sets every time down, a guy that's going to make sure he put Jimmy Butler in position to be successful, to put the ball in the basket, a guy that's going to get Bam easy, good looks because of the way that he attacks and put pressure on the defense. Again, I'm not picking the Heat to come out the East, but let's not sit up here and disrespect them and say that they're not going to be a threat.
Yeah, I'm not looking to disrespect them, but they're not going to be a threat to come out of the East. So I think we agree on that. You phrasing it differently, but you don't think they're going to actually beat either of those teams. And I appreciate that they went to the finals in the bubble, but I think that season was different. That season was about mental toughness, and that is a very mentally tough team led by Jimmy Butler. They got through that season because of mental toughness. Every other season in the NBA is mostly about talent, and frankly, they don't have the talent. Honestly, like adding Kyle Lowry is a talent upgrade. You're right about Dragic and Kendrick Nunn. They are not the player that Kyle Lowry is, but they still do not compare to the talent that you're going to see in New York with the Nets, or in Brooklyn with the Nets, or in Milwaukee with the Bucks. So unless we're going to go back to the bubble, which the way y'all people is acting, maybe we will end up in the bubble next year, then I'll pick the Heat to go to the finals potentially, because that season will be different. It'll again be about a mentally tough team, which the Heat are. But if that doesn't happen, it's going to be about talent, and they don't have the talent, even if you add Lowry to jump past the Bucks.
Domonique, do you know you have to being mentally tough in any atmosphere, whether it's in a bubble or not, you have to be mentally tough to win a championship.
Agreed.
Giannis had to be mentally Okay, then so that's not even an argument. Don't move the goalpost.
I'm not
you
moving
have
the
to
goalpost.
be mentally tough.
I'm saying that
yes,
there is a
because you talk. Listen,
Go ahead.
I'm trying to tell you. If you look at Giannis and what he did against the Phoenix Suns, being down 0-2, the start of the series, and winning 4 straight and dropping a 50-piece to close them out, your mental has to be different. You have to be mentally tough. You have to be mentally tough and locked in and focused to go up to the free throw line and to keep attacking the basket, knowing that they're going to foul you and put you on the free throw line and go 17 from 19 from the free throw line. That's mental toughness.
Agreed. I'm not saying that. So we don't disagree on that. I'm just saying that different things matter at different times. Like, they matter more. In that particular season, that was the only season where I felt like mental toughness was more important than anything else. I'm not saying you don't have to be mentally tough, but in the NBA, what it comes down to oftentimes in the playoffs is who has the most talent. The most talented team normally wins in the NBA playoffs. In football playoffs, oftentimes there's a different ranking of that. And there's a lot of times it's health. And it's a lot of luck because it's a single game playoff. It's a lot more coaching than in basketball. And then also talent matters. So I'm saying that all those things matter, but depending on the circumstances, different things matter more. The Heat went to the finals in that bubble year because mental toughness was at a premium that year. And this is quite possibly one of the most tough teams mentally in the league. I'm saying that this coming season, it's not going to matter nearly as much. It's going to go back to normal and where talent kind of prevails, and that's what's going to happen. They still don't have the talent to get them past it. The mental toughness is going to get them to the playoffs. It may get them to a Game 7 in round 2, but that's not going to be enough to get them past the Nets. Like, it's just not. I don't care how tough their brains are. They're not going to be able to outscore them 3 boys in Brooklyn.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.